Hey everybody, this is Paige from Mosaic Moments, and I have another amazing flip through for you. So all of the dies featured today will be dropping soon in November. So first up we have a level 1 die. These are the stitch frame dies. We're coming back with the entire series, so if you've already collected them, you can maybe finish your collection, or if you're getting started, you can pick some that you like the most. So they come with a variety of sizes, including 5x5, which is the biggest one and has 4x6, and goes on down to 1x1. So this page right here actually shows what comes in the 5x5 set. So we have the 5x5 die, and I want to mention that it will work with 4x6 photographs. So if Tammy sized this square, so you can crop 4x6 photos, even though this is a very big die. But because 5x5 is really big, you get a very wide border with this one, which is great for adding things like stickers, or you can add journaling and other little things. And this set with the 5x5 also comes with the 3x3 size and the little 1x1. So right here, you can probably see I actually did put thread in there. This is a great idea if you have a darker color, so you can see the stitching better, and it also adds a handmade touch. So adding thread does take a bit more time. You're not going to be able to do that in just a couple of minutes unless you're really fast at it. So that does take a little more time, but I think it's worth it, and the stitch marks are already there, so you don't have to measure or anything. But again, that'll take a little more time, but it does look really nice. It really does give your layout a handmade look. Again, we have the little 1x1s, which were a great place to add my tiny number stickers. So it's awesome. And I also have this right here. This is a very long strip. And the 5x5 set also comes with a border die. And the border die is interesting because basically it doesn't have an edge right here. So you can actually make your border as long as you want to. I actually use the border die up here. Now we do have a 1x4 border that's stitched all the way around. I think this was the first set that came out, so the other ones, so we didn't have this size yet. So at the time I just used the border die. But you can see here, this is a 1x10 strip. I hope you can see the stitching. But it's a 1x10 strip, and I was able to add the stitching with the special die because, again, it doesn't have a border that'll cut off at the end. So basically, to do this, you would cut out your 1x10 strip, and you would lay the die on top, and then you kind of overlap it so you keep getting it straight. So definitely take your time with it. I do have a video that shows how to create this, and I know many of you will want to watch that. And I also added this fun sticker on here. So this is an awesome layout. All right, I have another one here. Again, I used a darker color, so it was really nice to add the threading on the edges in here. And I even glued on some buttons to add to the handmade touch. So I do think stitch frames is great for fall, which I just showed. It also is great for Christmas pages. It adds something a little homemade, you know what I mean? You know, this is an at-home memory, and it's really nice to have those stitch frames give a nice handmade touch. Again, another Christmas one. This one's from Jody, and I like how she was able to add stickers to the frames. Again, they have a little more room to work with extra embellishments. This layout is pretty simple. She has some photos here, some cut with the basic dies, and then the rest are stitch frames. And she did use lighter colors, so you can see the stitching really well. So that's the key. If you want to show the stitching well, use lighter colors. All right, right here, this is a layout that's actually a year in review. So it starts in January, and every photo you see along here is 1 month of the year 2015. So there's a nice stitch frame. This is the 4x4 frame. And it comes with a 2x2 size, which isn't shown on this layout. So there's this, and there's the 3x3, which comes with the 5x5 die. So these stitch frames really can go with anything and everything. I think it was a nice touch for this year in review page. All right, here is the final layout with stitches frames. Jody made this one. This is also a Christmas layout, and she used this gray paper so you can see the stitching really well. And I like how she added these gold gem stickers for a nice touch as well. It's a very nice, classy Christmas page. So really pretty, really cute. Again, stitches really works well for Christmas and probably other holidays too. Again, great for fall, but really any time of the year, stitch frames is going to be awesome. All right, this month we don't have any level 2 dies coming out, but we do have a few level 3 ones coming. And you can probably see right here, one of them is Darling. So Darling has basically this basic design right here. I call it basic, but this is like your main design you're going to create with the Darling dies. And you're going to fill them in differently probably every time. So that's the key with this one is how are you going to fill it in? So this page has the 4x4 and the 2x4 dies, so you're going to probably use that pretty much every time, although I show one exception in this video. And you can see here how there's this unique shape. It's a circle, but it's not a full circle. And then this is the 2x4, which I filled in with a different photo. So that repeats all the way around. So that gives you an idea of the Darling die design. Now, I'm going to show you some other ways you can fill it in that are pretty exciting. But first I have a layout that's actually very similar, but I wanted to point out a slight difference. And one of them is you can see this oval here versus here. So this oval part on the 2x4 can either be at the top or the bottom, and you can decide on which way you want it. But over here, I have it at the bottom, and when you, at least on this top section. So when you have the ovals on the inner part, it actually can create the circle. So I emphasize that by using the pattern paper on this 2x2 square and using it in these spots. So it has that circle look. So you can see here, it doesn't have that circle pretty much at all. But here you see that circle. So I was able to emphasize it by using the pattern paper throughout the whole spot, and it turned out to be a very nice place to add a little bit of journaling. But overall, it's pretty much the same exact layout. So this one, you can see there's something a little bit different about it. So let me bring this one back. So here you see the 2x4 and all the little intricate design through here. But as you can see here, there is a circle covering that up. So the Darling die set does come with circle dies. So you're able to cover that up and place in these circles, which also makes it fun. So that is probably the #1 reason why people want this set, because you can create this circle that looks like it's rotating, or these circles that look like they're rotating around the layout. So this is a pretty easy design. For these sections, we don't have extra dies that cut them. I personally just like to cut the pattern paper to that size 4x4 or 2x4 and put it behind. And if you wanted to, you could cut all little pieces, but I personally find it easier to just go ahead and glue the pattern paper behind the die cuts because it just makes it faster. But I know it uses up a lot of paper you're not necessarily going to see, but that's just the way I like to do it. So we have this nice pattern paper here, and then the photos really pop on that pattern paper. So this one looks really good and pretty easy, especially if you cut the pattern paper with the basic dies and then just place it behind there, makes it really quick. All right, this is a really cute one. This is from Jody, and here she used the layers. So this set also comes with layers for this kind, I don't even know what to call it, but this awkward shaped circle. And the full circle has multiple layers that you can stack as much as you want, or you can use the circles for other projects as well. But here she has the pattern paper flowing through the page, and then she has this cardstock behind these photos, and here she has pattern paper and a layer of cardstock, and then the photo. So that's 3 layers right here, and this one just shows 2. So there's a lot of layers here, and so if you like adding layers, you can have a lot of fun with that because the Darling set does give you options for that as well. But I think this page turned out really, really good. Here's a design that only used the 4x4 Darling dies, so you don't have to add in the 2x4. You can put the 4x4 next to each other, and you get a very different look. So you can see this very intricate design here. I think that turned out really, really well. Of course, you could fill these in with just the solid circle die, and that'll give you a very different look. So this page looks really appealing and fun, and like I said, it gives a much more intricate look. All right, this one is a very nice layout. It shows pattern paper. What I really like about it is the pattern paper just flowing through it. I even added the pattern paper here. And so even though you don't see a lot of it, I think it still makes a big impression if you put it at every spot. And then here I have the photo without the layering. And then in these circle sections, I did add the layer. So I have this pattern paper and then the photo. And I actually think that creates nice contrast on the page. And I think that creates a really nice contrast on layout. And I think this looks really attractive. So this is another option that looks really, really good. I mean, the nice thing about the Darling dies is it's not very difficult to make your layout look really good. So I think you all will like the Darling dies. Another die set coming out in November is the Hip Hop dies. So Hip Hop is mainly known for this wavy design. So you can see that here. And in this case, I have the 2x2 die cuts and I have them pretty much stacked here to get a really wide wave look here. So I could just keep one border and do just the one border, but I decided to add the bottom row as well to make that wavy design a little bit wider. So that's something you can do with the wavy dies. I think this layout looks great. And of course, wavy is great for your beach photos. In this case, it was the water park, so it'll be great for your summer photos. This one was made by Jody, and this is actually one of the new sizes. So this one is 2x4. We also are coming out with a 1x2, and you can mix the different sizes together. And as you can see, she still has that wave going through her layout. So the benefit is she was able to crop these photos a little bit larger because a 2x2 is pretty small. And we also have a 2x3 I'm going to be showing soon. Maybe you have some subjects where they need to be cropped a little bit longer. So this is a great option, and again, will still work with the other sizes. So here is the 2x2, and I really like how she has this pattern paper flowing through the top here as well. And she just filled in the section below this with just a basic cut. That was made with the basic bundle. All right, this one was made by Caitlin, and this is the 2x3 size, and I really like how she still made that wavy look. So this was just one die, and you have to place it in certain ways to get that wavy look. So there was some space she had to fill in, so she filled it in with pattern paper, cut with the basic 1x2 die. So this is a really fun one. These photos were taken in Japan. She had gone there for a few months. So we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of pages from her adventures over there. Again, this was a perfect subject with the little swan boats. So this one's a really fun page. Hip hop does not always have to be wavy. In this case, it's kind of more of a scallop design. So that's the other option. So here I have the 2x2 and then the 3x2 here to look like it's kind of a longer section here, but I was able to add two different photos. So this is a month in review layout. So you can see October 2022. So it's showing different days and different things that happened during that month. And this hip hop was just a fun way to show these photos. And I really like how the different sizes swap, so that creates more interest on your layout as well to have the two different sizes. But I think this is a really pretty one. All right, this is the last layout showing hip hop. And you can see here I don't have the wave on this as well. This is more of the scalloped look. So this is a really nice simple layout, but I think it looks good. I mean, it seems pretty basic, but adding in these little pattern paper sections really adds some color to layout and helps tell the theme, which these photos were taken right before Halloween, basically. So it just gives you that extra space to add in a pop of color or a little bit of pattern paper. And then, of course, there's room to add lots of photos on this page and crop them in a unique way. So hip hop, again, can show the wavy design, or you can keep it simple and just show this scallop design. All right, the last dies I have for you today are the quarter pie dies. So we have what's called the quarter pie die set. So it comes with a 5x5 die, which is this one here, and it comes with what we call a piece of pie. So there is a separate die to cut these little pie slice sections. So this layout was made by Jody. It's a year in review. It's specifically about her daughter. So year in reviews can be, you know, a basic year in review of what your whole family did for a year, but also year in review can be focused on a specific person or a specific theme. Like, let's say every month you traveled somewhere new, you could do that as well. So the pie dies are perfect for a year in review layout because there are 12 spots on this pie page. So we always recommend this one for a year in review. And the pie slice, I think a lot of people feel intimidated by that, but if you really look at it, it's actually very fun. So to me, you have to be open to experimenting with the cropping, making your photos a little more unique than the typical square rectangle. So this is a fun one to try for sure, and many people love the pie dies. You don't have to make a full pie, you can just make half of a pie. So up here, I have 2 of the 5x5 die cuts, and only had to fill in 6 slices. And what's nice about this is you have this really nice half pie design, and then on the bottom here you have your basic die cut. So if you want to keep your layout more simple, this is a way to do it. So let's say you had a photo like this where it doesn't really work with the pie die, or maybe you just have a main photo like this that you don't feel like you can crop smaller. This is a great option to just do half the pie and then make room for a larger cropped photo. But altogether, this is a really nice fall page. We also have the small pie die. So instead of 5x5, this is a 3x3. And of course, your slices are going to be quite a bit smaller. So these smaller pie dies are great for those photos like these where they were taken at a distance, or of subjects like flowers, or these other details are fun to show with the 3x3 as well. So this is a really nice one made by Jody, and I really like how she used this space to show all these little nice garden details. So definitely give the small pie die a try if you haven't. All right, this is the final layout. I have a 2-page spread here. So this is our mini pie die, so it's 2x2. And both the mini and the small are great for a 2-page spread. So on one side, you can have your large pie design because that takes up the entire layout. And then over here, you can have the mini pie or the small pie. So you have something that relates to this layout. And what is nice about having the smaller pies is you're able to add in more photos with the basic die cuts. So that should make it quicker for you to put a layout together. It may allow you to add more photographs. So over here, Jody added in some pattern paper to a couple of the slices so they don't have to be completely filled in by photos. You can always add in some pattern paper if you didn't have enough photos, or maybe you want to add some color, or you feel like the photos are too busy, you can always add in that pattern paper. And what I like is that she repeated this look over here. She put some pattern paper in these 2 slices to match this one. But instead of these being filled with different photos, these were all one photograph. So you can certainly fill these in with different photos, or you can cut the same photograph. So you can see there's this nice scenery in here. It's kind of like looking through a window that's shaped like a pie, basically. So this was a layout made by Jody, and it was a really nice winter layout. She did a great job. All right, we have reached the end of today's video. I'll just review real quick what is coming out. First, we have the pie dies, and that'll include every size. And I also want to mention we are including a set that'll cut the corners very easily. We didn't offer that before. So the set will have all 3 size pie corners, plus the largest one will have a little layer die as well. And that will be sold separately from the other dies. So if you're someone who feels like these die, especially this die, is really big for cutting that corner, we are offering that this time. We also have hip hop, which is a fun one. And we have 2 new sizes coming out. So we offered the 2x2 and the 3x2 in the past. And now we're gonna have the 2x4, and it'll include a 1x2 as well. We'll also have the Darling die set, which makes really nice designs very easily. I think a lot of you will like that. And last but of course not least is the Stitches frames. All of these sizes are coming back in November. So if this is something you enjoy, if you like having stitched dies, these will definitely be ones you will want to grab. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.